This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
And thanks for joining us here for the news at 11. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starrentino. We have a lot of new information to cover tonight after another night of protest in downtown Indianapolis.
We have team coverage from Cornelius Hawker, who was there for an emotional vigil near Monument Circle.
But first, RTV6's Cameron Riddle is live with the latest on the investigation into the death of Drejon Reed, a local case that sparked protests weeks before the national movement against police brutality. Cameron.
Mark, Amanda, good evening. This was day 13 of protests here in downtown Indianapolis. And for the protesters, it was a bit of a celebration as they called it a small victory in the quest to get more information and more transparency. In this case, it is the revealing of the names of the officers in connection of the shooting of Drejon Reed. Learning the officers' names has been a demand of protesters since the day after Reed was killed by IMPD. The other demands, including firing and charging the officers, are still what they are asking for tonight. Tonight, we have learned that the officer who fired his weapon, killing Drejon Reed, has been identified as DeJour Mercer, a 4-year member of IMPD, who was named Northwest District Officer of the Year back on April 29th. That's just 7 days before the deadly shooting. We also learned more information about the officer who made the comments about Reed needing a closed casket after seeing his body on the ground. That officer has been identified as Officer Stephen Scott, a 15-year member of IMPD. Chief Taylor says the delay in releasing the officer's name was for their safety following a number of threats from the public. Protesters say getting IMPD to reveal more information is a long battle, but today is progress.
Small victory to a giant, but we still have more demands. They met 2 of our demands. We still need the officer to be held accountable for murder. We still need them fired. We still need them to tell the truth about what really happened. You know, we're standing with the family out here, we're standing with the community, and we just need the IMPD to be honest.
Tonight, the special prosecutor out of Madison County, who will now take on any criminal charges that are filed, also chimed in late this afternoon saying IMPD should step back and turn this ongoing investigation over to the Indiana State Police. Fatima Johnson, the attorney for the Reed family, says that is a step in the right direction, but doesn't go far enough. She's calling for an independent federal investigation. Johnson also says is citing the officer Mercer and his 4 years of experience on the force as a lack of experience and a contributing factor to Reed's death. She also believes Officer Mercer wanted to please his bosses, Chief Taylor and Deputy Chief Adams, who both originally spotted Reed speeding on the interstate in the minutes before the fatal shooting. Protesters say they will continue this fight for justice until the family gets the answers that they are looking for. They tell us that battle will continue tomorrow. Live downtown tonight, I'm Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
Cameron, thank you for that report. And tonight, the Metro Chief of Police and other officials answered questions from city county councilors about ongoing investigations, including the Drejon Reed case and instances of violence during protests. Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears announced a criminal investigation is underway into the case of officers seen in a viral video hitting a woman with batons and using pepper balls. Our crew captured video of several people being arrested in the same area the first Sunday night of protests. Councilor Leroy Robinson asked IMPD Chief Randall Taylor why cases of excessive police force caught on video take so long to result in punishment.
That's a complaint I get the most of from citizens, is that why when officers do something like that, they get desk duty suspension without pay, very rarely incarcerated, but if that was a regular citizen, they get arrested. How does that work? And why does it work then?
A regular citizen is not operating as a police officer. As a police officer trying to effect an arrest with a subject that resists, there are certain things that happen. Like I said, I didn't like the way it looked, but it doesn't necessarily make it illegal. So if Leroy Robinson gets out there and does it, you're right, he is going to be arrested. But even though police officers are doing those things, we still investigate those. Like I said, the day that started, I did that. But I have to go by guidelines. I have to make sure that officers are not operating within policy. If they're not operating within policy, then there's going to be a discipline that comes out of that.
And Taylor says additional information about possible charges against the officers will come from the prosecutor's office and will be considered in IMPD's internal affairs investigation.
Protesters who marched through downtown Indianapolis tonight weren't the only ones gathering today in the name of racial equality. Our team coverage continues tonight with RTV6's Cornelius Hawker, showing us how Christ Church Cathedral and Iglesia Amigos de Indianapolis united in prayer and solidarity for their black brothers and sisters.
While people gathered on the steps of Monument Circle early Wednesday night, a prayer vigil was getting underway across the street.
There's been specific reforms starting to be realized and worked on, but at the same time, I think there's been a transformation of hearts.
Mary Slinsky, senior pastor of Christ Church Cathedral, says it's inspiring to see all these people from different backgrounds come together, letting everyone know Black Lives Matter.
As a white person, we can keep pulling the logs out of our eyes and seeing the injustice that there is in our society and then finding a way to help make things right.
We need a space to be able to say as the church that we are with people in need, that we hear their cries, that we hear their pain.
Carla Moran J., a faith leader at Iglesia Amigos de Indianapolis, says supporting the black community is the right thing to do. She knows minority communities must stick together.
I just saw a lot of solidarity from the African American community when we had the policy for the children being detained at the border with their families.
Carla encourages her community to not sit back while these protests are happening.
La lucha de ustedes es nuestra lucha y la lucha de nosotros también es la lucha de todos.
As protesters left the circle, taking their message to the streets of downtown Indy, Carla and Mary began their prayer vigil, praying for peace and an end to the suffering minority communities face. They honored the life of George Floyd by observing a moment of silence lasting for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, the amount of time George spent under the knee of a Minneapolis police officer before dying.
That was Cornelius Hawker reporting. A group of students is working together to bring together the Avon community for a conversation about systemic racism and prejudice. The peaceful assembly is taking place tomorrow at 6:30 at Avon's Town Hall Park. Organizers stress that violence will not be tolerated, and they ask attendees to wear masks. They also plan to provide water and hand sanitizer.
It was a windy day on top of some severe weather in central Indiana. Checking in now with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory for what our forecast holds. Hey, Kevin.
It's turning into a cooler, more comfortable night. Maybe the windows are open at your house. The humidity has dropped. Okay, as you look at the radar, all the thunderstorms, and they were intense for a while this afternoon, are well to the east. They've pretty much rolled through all of Ohio and into Pennsylvania. We begin a dry stretch. Next 5 days we should be dry. We'll get more into the weekend forecast here in just a little bit. Our wind calms after 2 a.m. by calming down. I mean, certainly not gusting above 30. It'll generally be 10 to 20, gradually clearing skies, and you'll wake up to temperatures in the 50s tomorrow morning. Out the door, sunshine around. Temperatures that start in the upper 50s will be to around 74 at lunchtime. Of course, we'll have those weekend details for you coming up.
Coronavirus cases, hospitalizations, and deaths continue to climb in parts of the country. And while cases and deaths continue to increase in Indiana, the State Department of Health has not reported a spike in rates. As of tonight, 2,173 deaths have been recorded from COVID-19. More than 320,000 people have been tested with a positivity rate of 12%. And Governor Holcomb is moving the state to stage 4 of reopening 2 days earlier than expected. And he says the shift is thanks to positive signs in the state's COVID-19 data. Under stage 4, office buildings and retail stores can open at full capacity. Restaurants can increase capacity to 75%. Playgrounds can reopen and recreational leagues can resume. And museums, zoos, water parks, and movie theaters can open at 50% capacity. And Freedom Springs Aquatic Center in Greenwood has been waiting and preparing for stage 4. With safety precautions and reminders for guests in place, the park is ready to welcome back families looking for a fun summer activity.
In our head, we've had this whole program operationally on paper and opening on how it's going to look months in advance, preparing for this. So we're ready to see what we've been putting down in paper and actually see it in operation.
And Marion County has been under stricter reopening guidelines because of its large number of coronavirus cases. Mayor Joe Hogsett is making an announcement about Indianapolis and Marion County's restrictions tomorrow at 2 p.m. You can find the latest on the announcement at theindychannel.com.
Dancing for a Cause. Coming up, how a fitness dance studio is using their skills to inspire others. How these dancers are putting their feet on the floor to move for change, and how you can join in on that movement.
Central Indiana churches getting help from the federal government to stay afloat during this pandemic. I'm Kara Kenny. Will tell you why there's new concern that some churches are getting shut out.
Big money at Menards. This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
More churches in central Indiana are getting taxpayer money to stay afloat during the coronavirus pandemic through the federal Paycheck Protection Program.
But some are concerned that many churches are missing out on that help. The Rebound Indiana is RTV6's commitment to making sure systems are in place that are working to help people get back on their feet. Call 6 Investigates' Kara Kenny has been digging into this for the past 2 months and joins us now with what's being done to address this disparity.
Sanders Temple on the east side was approved for federal funding through the Paycheck Protection Program. Church leaders are thrilled to receive the money, but they're also concerned about smaller churches who didn't.
Sanders Temple Church of God in Christ on the east side has a congregation of more than 500 people. They received $30,000 through the federal Paycheck Protection Program. It will help cover utilities and payroll for 10 employees for 2 months. 2 other good-sized churches we introduced you to in April have also been approved to receive Paycheck Protection Program funds, New Era Church and Barnes United Methodist. Barnes has a congregation of 700 people. Sanders Temple's pastor is concerned about other churches who have not been so fortunate.
Your inner city parishes are going to suffer because those banks are not in our communities and they don't have relationships with the bankers. They're not benefiting from this program. And part of the reason is that some things they didn't have in order.
We've been asking since April 23rd, but the Small Business Administration will not tell Call 6 Investigates how many churches in Indiana have applied or been approved. A new survey by Lifeway Research found that 40% of Protestant churches across the country applied for government assistance, either through SBA or the CARES Act, and 23% of those churches' pastors reported that their applications were accepted. A national group, the Interfaith Alliance, is concerned smaller churches are being shut out, telling us it seems that well-established congregations with significant communal and institutional power have largely navigated the eligibility process more easily than smaller ones. Without clear guidance and intentional engagement, programs like these run the risk of reinforcing existing power structures instead of ensuring that funds reach those most in need. Sanders Temple is worried what they'll do when their federal funds run out on June 26th. They hope and pray they can keep their doors open. Kara Kenny, RTV6.
Thank you, Karen. Right now at theindychannel.com/rebound, you can find all of our coverage on the systems in place to help your family and local businesses make it through the financial impact of the coronavirus pandemic.
A major announcement from NASCAR during the country's ongoing conversation about race. NASCAR is banning all Confederate flags at racing events. In a tweet Wednesday, the organization said the flag runs contrary to its commitment of providing a welcoming and inclusive environment for all fans. The ban goes into effect ahead of Wednesday's Cup Series race in Martinsville, Virginia, where driver Bubba Wallace plans to race a car with a Black Lives Matter paint scheme. There's backlash against the new policy, with some fans saying they will no longer attend NASCAR races or support the organization.
Many people are responding to the Black Lives Matter movement in whatever way they can. And one downtown Indy community is learning, creating, and building connections through dance. DanceWorks Indy is a dance and fitness studio for adults of all skill levels. And this weekend, the studio is making moves for change. They are offering 7 hours of in-person and virtual dance classes in a wide range of styles and levels taught by artists of color in the DanceWorks family.
Dance is a way to communicate without words. Sometimes moving is the best way to express what we're feeling and the best way to process what we're feeling. So we feel this is the best time to be finding new ways to express and process.
And I think this kind of gives us a really nice platform to really give a story that each of us have kind of been, not even if we're not, haven't held back the story, have been just kind of wanting to tell, at least for me. So I think this class is really going to give me that opportunity to kind of enlighten a lot of people on things that are kind of going on, and kind of just get that message out there that I wouldn't really be able to tell in, say, a normal heels class that I would teach on a Thursday.
All classes will be donation-based, and the proceeds will be divided to help rebuild Michael's Soul Kitchen in downtown Indy after riot damage, the NAACP, Minnesota Youth Collective, Color of Change, and more. DanceWorks wants you to join them in this body movement to create real movement towards justice in our community. The classes are happening Sunday. You can register for them in the Mind Body app. Kevin.
Amanda, remember last night, temperatures at this time were still around 80 degrees. It was very humid. Temperatures stayed in the upper 70s all night long. Right now, temperature 65 in Greencastle, go up 231 toward Lafayette, 65 degrees. But the bigger change, what makes that feel so refreshing, the humidity pretty much dropping out across central Indiana, that west wind bringing in the drier air. Remember, I mentioned overnight, after we get past 2 a.m., I think the 30-mile-per-hour gusts will fade away. And by the time you wake up in the morning, winds will generally be 10 to 20. That's still windy, but quite an improvement. Instead of the top of the scale for humidity, we'll be at the bottom of the scale, not just for tomorrow, but through the weekend into the early part of next week. That will keep our temperatures feeling pretty good because on average we'll be below average. Tomorrow, lots of sunshine to go with the cooler temperatures. 79 the afternoon high temperature, again with mostly sunny skies. As you look at Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, there are the high temperatures. We bounce back up Friday, but go back into the 70s Saturday and Sunday. A cold front will go through without developing any rain. Temperatures will be below average for the weekend and on Monday. Temperatures tomorrow from north to south, not much of a temperature range, upper 70s to low 80s. Bigger changes in the humidity levels. The wind will still be strong, and it's out of a drier, more comfortable direction. That northwest wind has pushed then all of the heat and humidity down to the south and out of the way temporarily. Everything's temporary. It will be back as we get to early next week. 86 on Friday in Terre Haute, 86 in Bloomington. Temperature in Indy at 84. That's the jump I mentioned to end the work week. But as we step into the weekend, temperatures start to change again. There are the three most comfortable mornings, 3 in a row. Saturday through Monday morning, temperatures in the mid-50s, a good handful of degrees below average for this time of year. Afternoon high temperatures with all that sunshine in the mid-70s. Very enjoyable. Pick any adjective you want. Then as we go to early next week, you see the change. It doesn't last long. Monday's still comfortable, but Tuesday into Wednesday, temperatures really start to jump back into the middle to upper 80s, and not surprising with the surge in temperatures and a little more moisture in the atmosphere, a little better chance for rain, but it's certainly not overwhelming at a 20% chance for thunderstorms, and low temperatures will be back in nearly the mid-60s. But it is going to be a spectacular day tomorrow. Enjoy it.
Something to think about before you hit share. Law enforcement across the country is working to shut down rumors spreading misinformation and panic across social media.
1-800-CALL-KEN right now.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
With communities on edge about the spread of coronavirus and protests in the streets, you might have noticed a fast spread of rumors and misinformation on social media. Some of it incites fear, and Scripps reporter Stephanie Stone is showing you how law enforcement is keeping track of what is true and what's false.
It's the classic case of don't believe everything you read, especially when it comes to the internet. As protests spread across the country, so has misinformation. In Orange County, California, the sheriff's office calmed fears by posting this on their Facebook page, saying, "It's normal for rumors and uncorroborated information to spread. and that these rumors do not appear to be legitimate. Bad actors can emerge to intentionally cause confusion and spread false or misleading information to generate anxiety. They added the community then unintentionally shares the message and unintentionally shares that anxiety. Most recently in Washington, D.C., the chief of police addressed the hashtag DC Blackout, which falsely claimed communications outages and gained a huge following. Chief Peter Newsham said there was no communication loss and then said,
and that's why I rarely take a lot of the information that I get from social media on its face.
Donald McLaughlin with the Denver-based cybersecurity firm CP Cyber says things like this are a recurring problem.
That is a battle that the entire country has been battling for the past, decade of misinformation since the internet really took off.
McLaughlin suggests carefully reviewing the information source you're looking at. What else have they posted, and are those posts credible?
When I say look at the source, it's not just looking at other things they're posting, but looking at the technology side of it too, saying there's ways to look up domains and users to see how long they've been active. If they've only been active for this one thing, it's likely not true.
But if that's a bit too techie for you, turn to Google or whatever search engine you use.
When researching the truth and finding out the truth is hard. It's very hard because there's so much misinformation, but you can use what's called a negative keyword and you put a minus sign in front of it.
That will get you more relevant results and more relevant information. And then keep in mind, especially in times of unrest, someone is always trying to get your attention.
Typically, there's an agenda, and unfortunately, groups and individuals are using social media for their agenda. And technology is getting to a point now where you can have a bot and crawl Facebook and figure out exactly what you need to say to capture a certain audience.
McLaughlin says, remember, your every click is being watched and every kind of advertiser is paying for information about your interests. You can easily turn off some of that by going into your privacy settings and changing the ad settings. And always do your own research before you believe what you read. I'm Stephanie Stone, reporting.
And contact Culligan, the local water experts.
WRTV is teaming up with Kroger and Second Helpings to get meals into the hands of those who are struggling to put food on the table. Starting Monday through June 21st, whenever you shop at select Central Indiana Kroger stores, you can round up your grocery bill or select a donation amount of your choice when you check out. That amount will go directly to Second Helpings. WRTV and the Scripps Howard Foundation will match up to $12,000 in donations. You can find out more at your Kroger store or at theindychannel.com/feeding Hoosiers. Kevin?
It's late, so I don't know if he's still celebrating, but happy birthday to my dad. Bob G is 83 and doing very well. He says hello, by the way. Temperatures during the day tomorrow, they'll start in the upper 50s to low 60s and then slowly, comfortably warm to the mid-70s by noon, 78 or 79 for the afternoon high with a nice breeze out of the northwest and low humidity. That sounds pretty good to me. Everybody have a good day tomorrow.
You too, and happy birthday to Dad. Hope the cake was great. Thanks for making RTV6 your choice for news. Good Morning Indiana. Head your way at 4:30. Have a great night, everybody.